Alright, hello guys, how's it going? In today's video, we're going to be talking about our final winter thoughts video in this series. We have been doing this one for a long time. I want to go over the final updates before we enter into the month of December, which is the first meteorological month of winter. On the 1st of December, we will enter into meteorological winter. Anyways, before I get into this video, be sure to smash that like button, leave a comment down below, and subscribe for more weather-related content. For today's comment of the day, I would like to know, at what point do you think we will enter into a full-blown winter pattern? Do you think it's going to be early on in December? Do you think it's going to be later on in December? Or do you think it'll even happen after December? Let me know in the comments down below what your thoughts are on that topic, and I'll be picking one of those for tomorrow's video. Now, let's just get straight into this video. And we're taking a look at the past 90 days. We've had some colder temperatures over Alaska, there in eastern Russia, as well as regions over Greenland. And this has led towards more ice and more snow than normal for these regions. And that does impact the colder air we will see later on. I've talked about this time and time again, but that snowpack and that ice buildup is very important for getting that very potent Arctic air when it does blast down into the United States. If there's no ice and no snow, that temperatures are going to be much, much warmer than normal. But we do have a ton of that ice and a ton of that snow, so that's not a concern this winter at all. Here was November 7th, snow and ice. As you can see, the orange is ice, the blue is snow. We did have a lot of snow there for Russia, regions of China, as well as Kazakhstan and Mongolia. We had a lot of snow cover in these countries, but for Canada, Alaska, we really didn't have too much. I guess Alaska's fully covered, so we did actually have quite a bit. But for Canada specifically, we did not have a lot. The ice was starting to develop, but by the time we reached November 27th, 20 days later, you can see that we have a little bit less for Kazakhstan and Mongolia and China. Russia's almost fully covered there by this point. So we did see some expansion there in Western Russia especially. But the biggest difference here is actually the ice cover, which has expanded greatly, which is very typical, by the way, as we enter into the winter months, obviously. But Canada's snowpack has built in greatly and approached the borders of the United States. We also have some snowpack building in for the Rockies, obviously, with the snowfall we had earlier in the month of November, and a lot of the Northeast where we've seen some snowfall. So this is only going to help that colder air when it blasts down be even colder than it normally would be due to that snow and ice cover. Let's take a look at that sea surface temperature anomalies. I've talked about the La Nina. That's that blue area kind of in the middle there of the Pacific, that kind of linear or tube-shaped blue area. That's our La Nina, and it is important where the coldest waters are located. There's a western-based, a central-based, and east-based La Nina. In this case, we have an east-based La Nina. You can see that a lot of the bluest blues are closest to South America. That is the east-based La Nina, and this actually plays into a more favorable pattern for the eastern United States than a typical La Nina would, so that it is definitely worth mentioning. Also to the north, we have an area called our PDO, and this is the area south of Alaska, also offshore of Canada and the United States there in the Pacific. This was much colder. This was much, much colder just about a month ago, and we've seen a dramatic amount of warming in this region over the past month, and it's actually become a lot more neutral in between Hawaii and Mexico, let's say, specifically that region there. South of Alaska, we do have some colder waters, but this does also play into the eastern United States wintertime, and I think it plays a more favorable role in that for sure. As we take a look at the Atlantic, there has been some cooling offshore of the southeast and the Gulf states as well, but overall warmer Atlantic for the most part. Here's the 7-day change. So this shows us how things have changed over the past 7 days. We've seen a lot of warming over that PDO region that I just mentioned, which again is a more favorable thing for the United States. But we've also seen, some warming, some cooling in the La Nina region. It's kind of changed neutrally. Some areas have warmed, some areas have cooled, but it's about equal. It's just different areas, obviously. And then here's the 7-day change over the Atlantic, and as you can see, the southeast, like I said, has cooled dramatically, or most of the east coast, the waters offshore have cooled for the most part. Now here is our Nino 3.4 index, and this is basically a chart that measures our La Nina or El Nino, in this case a La Nina. Things have cooled, and they were pretty much cooling consistently up until about the beginning of November, and then we saw some warming take place for about a week, and now we're back to a cooling pattern, or about, staying about neutral. We're at about, I would say, zero point 0.7 here, negative zero point 0.7, which is a very, very weak La Nina. Some people indicated that we might see a moderate or a strong La Nina, but it appears likely that we're going to see a weak La Nina unless we see dramatic cooling very soon. Then here's our Nino 1+2 index, and basically what this is it's only the eastern regions of that Enzo region. So again, an eastern-based La Nina is very favorable for the eastern United States compared to a normal one. As you can see, the waters in this eastern-based region have cooled further than the areas in the more central and western regions of our Enzo region. This is another indication that we have a strongly east-based La Nina in place. Now here's the temperature anomalies for November. As you can see, for the majority of the rest of the month, which is only a few days, we will be experiencing eastern United States in cooler conditions, west in warmer conditions. December, this model is indicating, could be a little bit warmer for the southern United States, some cooler air for the northeast and the northwest, but overall a little bit warmer. January is when the colder air really begins to move in. The northeast, the upper Midwest, the plains, the west, all seeing some cooler than normal conditions. The southeast seeing a majority of the warmer than normal conditions. But by the time we reach February of 2022, I can't believe we're moving already into 2022, we can see that the colder air really unleashes in the month of February, especially for the central United States, where we have 5 to 10 degrees below normal on a 30-day period, which is extreme, by the way. Usually you see 1 or 2 degree differences, or maybe 3 or 4 in a more extreme pattern, but this is well into our 5 to 10 degree below normal range, which is far below normal on a monthly anomaly like this. Very, very interesting. Most areas are cold here in February according to this model. And then here's the entire winter: December, January, February, all combined. That southeast ridge that I've been talking about in my winter forecast series. By the way, we just uploaded our most recent winter forecast, or actually better yet, our official and final winter forecast just a couple of days ago, so you can check that out on the channel. Southwest also dealing with some warmer than normal conditions according to this model, but that's going to be pretty much how our winter pattern sets up according to this model. Here's the northern hemisphere as a whole, and as you can see, warmer than normal conditions for the Arctic regions. That is called a negative Arctic oscillation, or AO for short. And what this does is, when there's warmer air over the Arctic regions, it shoves the colder air to other regions like the United States, Canada, Russia, just to name a few that you can see on this map. You can literally tell that the cold air is displaced from the Arctic regions and instead placed in those other regions that I just mentioned. Last but not least, here's our precipitation forecast for the entire winter, and as you can see, Northwest and then the Ohio Valley in the Northeast all dealing with above normal precipitation. This looks identical to our winter forecast. We've been very consistent with that. Lastly, here is our Enzo forecast moving forward. The letters at the bottom indicate monthly time frames. So, for instance, MAM there, kind of towards the bottom right, or bottom middle kind of, stands for March, April, May. We look for DJF as well. If you can go a little bit to the left, that's December, January, February. So that's how you can tell the time frame. But as you can see, we're kind of in the peak of the La Nina, and throughout the winter, we're going to be warming a bit. And even as we head towards the spring and summer, we might be heading more towards a neutral Enzo or even an El Nino. Anyway, for today's confidence tab, we're at a 4 out of 6 moderate confidence going forward with the winter videos. Is about as, like I've always said, a 4 is about as high as I'll go on a long range forecast. For today's comment of the day, I asked you guys, do you think we will see any major snowstorms in the next little pattern we're going to be in? We just had one yesterday, actually, a surprise snowstorm for New York. We saw, I think, over 10 inches for a lot of regions. It really overperformed, to say the least. But James Marr said, I think it has a chance of happening, but there are still a lot of details to work out. And that's mostly referring to the very long-range, large snowstorm that the European model was showing yesterday. And I definitely agree there is some details to work out, but it is possible for sure. For today's Patron Highlight of the day, I want to thank you all for supporting the channel, but especially our Platinum patrons: Bill Crates, James Wade, Dovin Nagel, Literally Pan, Mandy Birchfield, and Patrick Strickland as well. I would also like to thank our Diamond patrons: Bill Roberts, Marcus Connolly, Noah Harley, Michael Kudalesa, Catbite, Charles Stinnett, Cindy Klein, Alan Goodmaben, Bill Dallas, Gary, John Calisi, Dwight Valen, Stephen Crenenthal, and Thomas D. Barr as well. I would also like to thank our channel members Catbite, Stephen Fan, and Jeremy Cox also. Anyway guys, thank you so much for watching this video. Be sure to smash that like button, leave a comment down below, and subscribe for more weather-related content. I'll see you guys in the next video.